When boyhood's fire was in my blood, I read of ancient freemen, for Greece and Rome who bravely stood, 300 men and 3 men. And then I prayed I yet might see our fetters rent in twain, and Ireland long a province be, a nation once again, a nation once again, a nation once again. And Ireland long a province be, a nation once again. And from that time through wildest woe, that hope has shine of our light. No could love's brightest summer glow outshine that solemn starlight. It seemed to watch above my head, in forum, field, and fane, its angel voice sound round my bed, a nation once again, a nation once again, a nation once again. And Ireland long a province be, a nation once again. So as I grew from boy to man, I bent me to that bidding. My spirit of each selfish plan and cruel passion riding. For thus I hoped some day to aid. Oh, can such hope be in vain, when my dear country shall be made a nation once again, a nation once again, a nation once again. And Ireland long a province be, a nation once again. Cha-cha-cha. So, yeah, I got this thing going on. Hopefully, I'm going to be testing sound quality. Hopefully, this makes it sound better. Hope everybody's having a good week. Hope everybody had a good Memorial Day. Long weekend. Hope everybody's starting it off good. You notice there's a ton of light in here, so much so that I almost look shiny. It's because I have a bunch of lights set up on my seed sprouting station, where so far the kale and the tomatoes are doing gangbusters, and the peppers have not shown anything. So I'm busting up, like I got some desiccated passion vine, corky stem passion vine berries. And inside of them, technically fruits, and inside of them, I have these little seeds, and they're covered in green splotches, but they're super healthy, like green splotches looking like a Yoshi egg, kind of. And there's a bunch of them in there, like a good 12 in there. And I'm gonna be seeding the native passion vine for our Gulf fritillary butterflies, and a bunch of tomatoes and some kale. In fact, I stopped, was like eating a sandwich. I stopped to look down at my sandwich and be like, there are seeds in here, and started picking all the seeds out of the tomatoes. The only issue is going to be separating them all and keeping them from getting eaten by bugs when the bugs get more active around here. Ah, well. Let's get into it, shall we? Pull up my notes here. Hopefully this will cut down on how bad the intro songs sound. Is like, really, if I can't cut down on how bad the intro songs sound with this microphone, I'm just not gonna do it. I don't want to subject people to that. It's gonna turn off people who could have gleaned something from my speeches. Anyways, let's get into it. I still feel personally responsible for what Joe Biden did to Gaza, and I'm not joking about that. It's like letting a pit bull into the neonatal intensive care unit at a hospital, the NICU. All of us who voted for Biden essentially gave a pedophile the keys to an orphanage, and that is a real tragedy. And damn Bernie to the lowest pits of hell for convincing us to do that. You betrayed us all. That's the real shame with power, is that with great power comes great responsibility, and that responsibility isn't just oh, if you don't do it, other people might get messed up. No, if you don't do it, you're gonna get messed up. You're gonna get messed up. So keep that in mind. Quoting, I have loved justice and hated iniquity. Therefore, I die in exile. Pope Gregory VII. Quoting again, vision without execution is hallucination. In other words, having a great vision without taking any action to make it a reality is just wishful thinking. Thomas Edison. Painting is not about verisimilitude. It's about essence. AI art has harshly reminded us that no likeness is safe from reconstruction. But the spirit of even simple cartoons is hard to capture if its essence relies on an artist's endless capacity to intuit new ways to modify their unique works into new striations. It's that simple. You probably know, like, very, very, very simple cartoons. AI can't do it. AI will hallucinate a bunch of gunk and put it in there, whereas it just takes a couple of brushstrokes for somebody to do, oh, I don't know, stone toss or something like that. Really is not a very complex, cartoon, but that is in line with all the other political cartoons, which most of them, some of them, like, go overboard. And only Ben Garrison, in my opinion, is the only good one alive today. There were really good political cartoonists in America 100 years ago, 200 years ago even. Not today. Literally not today. All of the, oh gosh, like you'll see a picture of like very, very square Donald Trump, looking over a little kid who's like, starving, and he'll be like, are you gonna eat that? It's like, that's what passes the mustard for actual, like, political cartoons these days. You go look at Ben Garrison, you see some, like, schizophrenic brilliance. Absolutely stunning. And, to be perfectly honest, gorgeous artwork. Very, very vivid, very clearly defined. Great colors, pops really good. You know exactly what's going on, essentially, without having to read the captions, and then it shoehorns the captions in just so you're sure. Gotta love Ben Garrison. God, that man's awesome. There are a lot of people out there who drink White Monster like it's water. Genuinely a ton of people who get the same feeling when they drink specifically White Monster that they get when they see a favorite friend or play a favorite game. The implication on how effective their advertisements are go without saying, but the main issue is it isn't water. That's the main issue. It contains things like L-carnatine, which, as the name suggests, is essentially liquid meat, and it boosts your TMAO levels, which is the specific chemical implicated in the higher rates of cancer in the standard American diet. It's very, very, very high in French fries, fried foods in general, and meats, especially deli meats, TMAO. It is the thing that gives people cancer from eating excessive meat, TMAO. And L-carnitine contains that in liquid form, meaning just like corn syrup, it's processed, it goes into the system much, much quicker than in its physical or unprocessed, more natural form. But it's also full of sucralose, which is just sugar. And most notably, as many other products do, it contains a benzoic acid preservative combined with vitamin C. When these two ingredients enter the body, benzoic acid preservatives are benign on their own, but when they enter the body and combine in the gut or anywhere where they enter in a same field of chemical, upset, like it's inert in your drink, when it enters your body, it starts to combine due to various reasons. The vitamin C strips off the benzene ring from the benzoic acid, and then you have a free-floating benzene ring, which is one of the most carcinogenic free radicals on the planet. One of the most carcinogenic free radicals. It's ridiculous. Like, really, really, really bad for you. Like, classic cancer-giving stuff. It's benzene. And it actually is in a lot of American stuff, which is one of the reasons why Americans have such a high rate of cancer, is because benzoic acid passes the mustard for... it doesn't get that label slapped on it that says the state of California has determined that this may contain, lead, which causes reproductive harm, and et cetera, et cetera. That's something that gets slapped onto anything with lead. Even like a table will have that label slapped on it specifically because of our regulations around carcinogenic materials. Benzoic acid is not carcinogenic until it enters the body with vitamin C, and then it turns into one of the most carcinogenic things ever. And that is an issue. That will give people serious cancers. That'll give people pancreatic cancer, which is a very, very hard thing to fight. That'll give people GI tract cancer and colon cancer, which have rates incredibly high in the modern world, way more high than in the classic world. And in the first world, the rates of colon cancer are much, 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 much higher than in Africa. And the reason being is because in Africa, they eat vegetables straight out of the ground. And in America, we like to go to the fast food place and get some fries and a burger. And ultimately, the fries contain a tremendous amount of TMAO. The drink itself might contain the benzoic acid and vitamin C combination. And then you get the burger, which is like, it's all right. It's a burger. But the cheese could contain horrific hormones that could cause a massive disruption in your endocrine system, injected directly via injection into the cow. So we just got to keep things grounded, because I see people drinking White Monster like it's water, and that's it's not going to work out very well. People literally did that Diet Coke thing, back in the day, and they ended up with horrific cancers. They really did. I'm super shocked that Trump is okay while drinking diet soda. The guy probably does have small tumors around his body that are in the process of growing, and then as he has a good mood and he has a good time and he's doing things in a powerful way, the immune system starts to suppress them again and they shrink back. And then when he's stressed out, they start to grow again. That's what I assume is going on there. It would make perfect sense. I'm not a doctor, but it would make a lot of sense. That Trump actually is kind of unhealthy based on the fact that he specifically drinks lots of Diet Coke. Diet Coke, mind you, aspartame, not actually as bad for you. It's bad for the brain. It causes formaldehyde to form in the blood, which is carcinogenic and causes brain damage. But it's not as bad, which explains why Trump is a little goofy sometimes. But it's not as bad as benzene. It's really not. Benzene is really, really bad, and I really, really suggest anybody listening to this, check your stuff. Make sure that you read on the back it does not have benzene as a benzoic acid as a preservative. Okay? Please. Thank you. My conclusion is this. If you're unhealthy and you drink White Monster for 2 decades, you will probably get cancer. That's my conclusion. There's a bit of a debate going on around the Snow White live-action movie actress. And let me settle this right here, right now. The peach fuzz on a woman is extremely soft and extremely thin. Goosebumps and peach fuzz standing its little hairs up is a very cute response to stimulation of erogenous zones. But to turn to the young men who have no idea what I just said, let me address you directly. You are allowing disgust sensitivity, unbecoming of a man, to allow you to judge women based on aesthetics alone. All adult women have some level of body hair. It is softer than your disgusting, rough, long body hair. Most women shave their lips when you're not looking. And just like with your body, the more you shave a certain patch of hair on your body, the thicker and longer that exact patch of hair grows. So, my suggestion to you, grow up, get over it, accept the fact that your woman will probably have a little bit of peach fuzz, and if you don't want your woman to have any peach fuzz, you're going to ask your woman to wax large portions of her body frequently. which will be torture. And if you or her can ever not afford to get the waxing, trimming, etc., plucking, etc., then the hair will grow back 5 times thicker than if you had not done nothing at all. So, grow up, get over it. You know, the Uyghurs are legitimately being genocided. It's true. But by the same metric, a small benign bump and an aggressive metastatic hard black tumor are both technically cancer. Obviously, one is worse than the other. Here's the thing. You have to be really low IQ and stuck inside an echo chamber to actually believe the genocide of the Palestinians is about Islam. It's not. It's about the sickest form of power projection. It's what the US government does from time to time, which is exactly why Guantanamo Bay exists. It's about telling the world that you don't think twice in regards to slowly killing while torturing and humiliating innocent people, which could be somebody's family member or somebody's friends. It's literally about terrorizing as many people as possible by inflicting a comical level of pain, like what Imperial Japan was doing to Manchuria in Unit 731. I've seen a few admissions over the last week from people like Moshe Phelan, but also from young amateurs like Maori kiwi fruit growers, one member of the JIDF on kiwi farms. They're literally just saying now they want to see dead Palestinian babies. You know, Maori kiwi fruit growers is very young, very likely in between the ages of 20 and 24. So it's very likely that their frontal lobe has not finished smoothing out yet and developing all the nice wrinkles that help them with executive function and looking ahead. And you are who you put yourself around. So being JIDF, going so long without being checked, saying these things for the last year, a year and a half, but mainly for the last year, a lot of these people did not activate until sometime into the starting of the genocide. It might have permanently damned one soul that I see. Because even if it is about Islam, I can bring up how the Talmud says 7-year-old girls are fair game if they're goyim. It says that in the Talmud. So to say Aisha, who was 6 when she was married to Muhammad and 9 when they consummated their marriage, is pedophilia, which it is to also point out that there is pedophilia encouraged in the Talmud, which is true. And you will find so many people trying to tell you when you can look it up, when you can see it from official sources, when there are rabbis out there that don't hide it. And you see members of the JIDF, and I've heard it myself, I've listened and watched these arguments myself, say, the Talmud does not say that. The Talmud doesn't say anything about enslaving goyim and molesting children. But it does. And that's the crazy thing is, like, the Quran doesn't say anything about consummating a marriage at 9 or marrying 6-year-olds. The Quran doesn't say anything about that. For the Quran, I believe that the age of consent is either 13 or 14. That is more than 7. Which, like, yes, these are Iron Age pathologies. You can hardly call them religions. They're pathologies. They're cultural pathologies. And, like, really, we are witnessing a massive cult doing a massive cult killing. Like, there were cults popping up in America in the 80s and 90s. Some of them did, like, train attacks and stuff like that. So a lot of them got foiled. This is essentially what happened under Biden, is essentially allowing the cult to do whatever they want in the school fairgrounds, orphanage, hospital, school, orphanage, fairgrounds, and next door, the political area. They have now legal ownership of all that land with all the children, all the women, and all the men who are politically responsible for that area. And so naturally, they're going to kill every single man, and then they're going to steal the children and sell them into sex slavery. And I have already heard and can pretty much confirm that they are raping women in mass there. They haul them off, and then they get raped in dungeons, essentially. And we've known that they're like literally connected to pornography websites. 9/10 or more of the pornography websites who are owned by rabbis connected to pornography websites is serious human trafficking, warehouses full of slaves, sex slaves. And after the sex slaves are used up, they're killed and their organs are sold. And there's also a massive organ harvesting and selling operation going on around Israel. And there has been for a long time. And they also get fast-tracked to receive organs in the United States. A lot of people working in hospitals have been reporting about this. So here's the thing. Given all this like blatant comic book level evil, this Lex Luthor is a good guy compared to this crap sort of stuff going on. Like, when are like good Israelis, when are regular normal Jewish people gonna like get it together? Really, truly. Because it's like if Trump just hauled off and started like using the military to kill every single black person, just a hypothetical, to kill every single black person in the entire country, I wouldn't just stand around. I would go do something about it. Okay? Because those people are innocent. Like, yeah, one or two black people might have annoyed me in my life, but that doesn't mean all of them are guilty. I have empathy. I have individual judgment. I believe in people's free will. I don't view people as a monolith. I don't view Jews as a monolith. I don't view black people as a monolith. I don't view white people as a monolith. You know that if you watch this. You know what's really going on? Randy Fine was early on this one. That fat freak was celebrating dead Gazan babies a few months ago, and yeah, they just firebombed a school. So officials are finally dropping whatever's left of the mask. There's no smokescreen anymore. The dust has settled, and they're just operating an open-range people-killing field. What I believe they're doing is they're practicing for destroying more civilian areas later. They're practicing to be ready to firebomb other children. They're practicing to murder and steal other nations' lands. And may God have mercy on the souls of every Zionist that's left on that island of cognitive dissonance. Their souls are destined for an Abaddon most minds could not even begin to comprehend. Like, our rational minds, not our fantasy minds, our rational minds, make things up like adrenochrome and shape-shifting lizard people because it's hard for a rational mind to comprehend why human beings would torture children like John Podesta and act so inhuman. But these people are coming from a place of fantasy. It is irrational. The actions being made are irrational. So it's hard to rationalize it. The sort of hysterics of the entire world wants to kill us is what I've been hearing time and time again when hit with the littlest amount of criticism from Zionists. And that irrational, illogical fantasy of the eternal victim, which honestly, I can kind of believe, I can kind of buy the Jews are an eternal victim if their own people are willing to do this to their nation and their name and their reputation. That is a nightmare. You would not want to be born in a culture like that. That is suffering. That is suffering. To any Kiwis watching, if your soul isn't already owned by the prince of the world, keep in mind, Candace Owens was working for Zionists before having a change of heart. Now she's one of the most popular streamers and likely the #1 voice holding malignant transgenderism accountable. You can spin the wheels on social issues all day, But if you don't have the balls to call out world leaders, you have less balls than Candace. She is beloved, despite formerly working for Israel, because she turned away from the darkness, did a mea culpa, and worked hard to achieve penance for her sins. It is never too late for you to do the right thing. The door is always open. You just have to leave where you are now to step through the threshold with no love lost. I think you're intelligent enough to know the difference between a sharpening process and a dulling process. I think you're smart enough to understand the lack of pity when a baby killer is dragged into custody. You know what? Cap it off with a little aside. I get pro-Russian sentiment from an identity Europa standpoint, right? It's literally a Germano-Slavic, solid European country founded by Vikings and Christianized that managed to colonize and parliamentize 2/3 of its current borders out of Asia to become a true hold of Prester John style empire. The third Rome, even, one could say. Quite accurately. All right, y'all. Hope everybody has a good one. Cheers.